We are live.
Sweet. Is this me? Oh,
Yeah, that's you.
Hey, everybody. Look over there, because Ali Siddiq is with us. What's up, man?
Man, hanging out, chilling.
It's been, I did the math on this. It's almost 3 years since we saw you last. And
It's been that long?
It has, it was September of 19, so just before pandemic.
Pandemic.
And you had just been on Bring the Funny. I believe it had just aired.
Yeah, NBC Bring the Funny finalists.
That was, I mean, and I think we talked about it a little bit at that time, but you had done a bunch of stuff, but that probably did that have an effect that you were like, whoa, okay, people saw that?
Yes. A lot of 65-year-old white people start showing up to my shows. It was like, and say, I'm talking, and they're so loyal. You should have won. I'm like, are you mad at me for not winning? You just want to tell me what? Yeah, but it boosted a different fan base.
Yeah.
That's very loyal.
Yeah.
They still coming.
Well, I'm sure your other fan bases were loyal too, and this was just another group that, because I mean, why wouldn't they be loyal?
It is. When I look out into an audience, I try to figure out where does this person know me from, what project? Because
Right.
because it's not. I think a lot of comics think it's just one thing, but over a career, people know you from several things. Some people have been with me since 1999, since the BET days.
Right.
Then some people jumped on in the first HBO thing, which was Def Jam. Then some people came on when I was with Bill Bellamy, and some people, I saw you when you was with DL. Then it became NBC, it became Comedy Central, it became The Special, it became, especially This Is Not Happening, Mexican Got on Boots.
Yeah, Mexican Boots.
Then it became Mitchell, then the Mushroom. People know you from so many different things. So, and then it's a whole group of young people. I figured that out. I'm out with my son, and my son asked me, he's like, why these kids keep looking back at us? I'm like, I don't know them kids. And they like from like 12 to like 16. And they found me on YouTube.
Right.
And they're like, yo, are you the Mexican Got on Boots guy?
Right.
And so they wanted to, so it's a lot of places
Right.
that people know you from, and now they coming together. So you see all these young and old and middle-aged people together, and white, black, Hispanic, everybody's together, which that's what a show's supposed to look like in my world.
Yeah. Well, for a couple of reasons, right? You expand that base, that's a little bit more money, A, but B, you have a message, and I know you have a message, and it's getting out to a whole different group of people. And that's a cool thing. And I can tell from your special that there's a message is the only word I can think of, that you're getting out there just a little, like it's funny, everything's funny and it's light, but it's,
For me, I think the word, I was educated a little more.
yeah.
I learned something.
Well, I feel like, so first of all, I've said this like 8 times today on the show. I really loved the special, and it was unique, and it starts, first of all, for those that haven't seen it, you're sitting, which I love because it's a little different, and you're chill, and it's almost a whisper. And I know that's you kind of in general, but it really brings the audience in, and you start right in with, like, here's where people are screwed up, and here are the mistakes that are made. And if you haven't seen it, the whole thing is essentially one story. And it's your whole life. And your life is crazy. I mean, it's crazy. And you're open about stuff that maybe you shouldn't be. I'm afraid that there may be somebody coming for you, but you still do it. And like, I can tell, like, you're like, listen, here's how people are screwing things up, and here's how it went for me. Right? And you're trying to tell somebody something besides just being funny. And it is damn funny.
The domino effect. Once you start down one path, Every step
Yeah.
you take is closer to the ultimate failure. And if you don't see it, you know, you get just caught up. You just get caught up in what they call when you nose blind, when you can't smell what you smell like. You know?
Right.
So that's what happens in your life if you're not actually you getting in avenues that you don't have to be in, and like that's the main thing. I didn't have to do anything. These were choices, and I shouldn't even had the choice to make. Like I'm 10. I don't
Right.
like no. You know that my dad is not the best decision. You know this. Why are you allowing me?
Right.
I have no information other than that he's fun. That's it.
Right.
So
15 pounds of crab.
we gonna, my dad that's who he was.
And so and there's no way to encapsulate it, because that's what's kind of cool about it is it's a long story with the weaving all the stuff in. But the gist of it is you talk about at one point when you were 7, 10, somewhere in there, your mom was like, you want to go live with your dad? And you were like, yeah. And that was mistake one. And then, but like there's a real, because clearly I was a good kid and I got put in a situation and one thing leads to another, the domino effect, and it starts falling. And it's a real message, no matter where you grew up or what issues you're facing. A couple little things can go a 180 on your life. And it's funny. Here's what I thought was funny, because you referenced, it was kind of an offhanded thing on the movie Trading Places, the classic, 1983. That's kind of what that movie's about.
Yeah.
They take somebody in one position and they screw them up in one little way, and then it like snowballs out of control, and rich guy becomes poor guy becomes rich guy. And I was thinking, before you even made the reference in the special, that's kind of like what that's the story you're telling about your own life.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. It's crazy. Especially the one where you were talking about the statute of limitations on a certain thing that may or might not have happened. Dude, I was like, really? I mean, I don't know. I guess you can always say like, well, that's comedy. I mean, that may not have happened. Right? I mean, if something, right or no? You tell me, is there aftermath to these stories
As
that
your
get
attorney,
told?
I advise you to just remain silent.
I mean, I don't want to spoil. I almost feel like it's a movie, and I don't want to give a spoiler alert. But it's a turn.
That's the thing that intrigues people when they hear that. They're like, what happens? But it's not like the person's not here.
Yeah. It wasn't murder, but it could have been. I mean,
it's something.
Right, it's something.
But it started out as something. Like, can we go to the root of the problem?
Oh, yeah. No,
the root of the problem.
I'm not mad at you. I'm just saying you are openly committing a crime that millions of people are watching on YouTube.
This is all a great
I'm just
tease.
looking out for you. That's all.
Right. If you haven't seen it, you're going to be watching it now.
Right.
It's a thing.
So part of the special, for those that don't know, there's a lot of talk about your parents and good and bad. What's your relationship, or is there, with either or both?
Oh, my mom lives 3 minutes away from me.
Okay.
Like in my like I had to get a bigger home, and my mom was complaining about her home. So, and I knew what she wanted. She would come to my house and always make reference. Oh, this is so nice. I was like, do you want this home? And so I put my mom, not put her in a home. I gave her my house. So
Okay.
And I moved 3 minutes away, and my sister's 3 minutes. So we in a little triangle. And my friend / road manager is 2 minutes away, which is Dre, and 5 minutes away is my friend Marcus D. Wiley. So I'm encapsulated inside of a little bubble. And me and my mom is kind of like always trying to make sure she's parenting me still.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
I don't think it changes, right? My mom doesn't. She still does.
Like my mom is like things that I know that she knows that I know. She'll still call me and like, make sure you being safe. Like this is her wearing a jacket talk. Like make sure you taking a jacket. So, and my pops before he passed, my pops passed in February 14th, 2018, right before my first special, Bigger Than These Bars.
Okay.
But we had just talked about it. And he passed, but we was solid before he passed. Like we used to talk all the time because he used to watch my material more than anybody. I could tell my YouTube views are down because he's gone. Because he just watched me on YouTube and he would call and say, man, ooh, that was funny what you just said. I have no idea what he's talking about, and then I get it it was something that he just saw on YouTube. Even though he could just call me. We had a good relationship. But now that he's gone, I'm saying everything about him.
So you did hold back a little bit on some of that stuff, trying to be whatever, courteous or nice
Respectful.
or whatever. Respectful. Yeah. That's a good word.
So, and I'm not done. It's not over. That's just part. Actually, that's part 2. So I'm writing this next special, which would be from 16 to 19. So that's from 10 to 15. From 16 to 19, I still had to write how I got arrested. Those years, the years before I got arrested.
Yeah, that's true. You didn't actually cover that specific.
So
thing.
It's the thing when I did Bigger Than These Bars was the I'm in prison.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized that people didn't know how I got there. So let me go back and cover that area, which was 10 to 15 was the start of how I came up.
And I mean, so for somebody who doesn't know that story, you can obviously find it any of these places online. But yeah, so 6 years? 6 years in prison?
6 years.
And when you came out is when you officially started doing comedy, obviously.
Yes.
How soon after that?
I got out October 21st. I started December.
Wow.
I went to Just Joking Comedy Cafe in December.
I mean, prior to that, had you ever even thought about it? Was it just from being in there and people like, you're funny, and you were like, maybe I am funny? Or
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
It was that. I was so jovial, sarcastically jovial, as I always say. It's like my observation, how I scan things and what I would say. Like, it was the clear angle to me. But I didn't even think I was being funny. I was just being honest. Like, hey, look, y'all gonna fight, but let me just ask. Y'all do know the officers are gonna come in and beat both y'all up. I just want to know who's gonna lose twice. Who's willing to lose twice? Somebody's gonna obviously lose twice. And have y'all thought that out? Like, did y'all think about it? Like,
Right. No.
And that was that was my take on a lot of stuff. Like, so when I came home, it was hey, man, let me see, can I really do the same thing here? If I can make people laugh that didn't have a reason to.
Did you have anybody, I mean, that as a comedian that you looked at before you got started? Like, what if I could do that? Because, I mean, I kind of feel like what you're doing is different. I mean, it's a story. It's a big story. And it's like, you got to weave it all together with the jokes and I don't know if anybody's out there doing that exactly.
I'm a kind of a mixture of a lot of people that you grow up watching. I grew up watching Carol Burnett and
that wasn't
Cosby.
the first one I thought you would say. Carol Burnett.
Yeah, but your mom, you watch. I think people don't realize you watch what your mom is watching. So she's watching the Carol Burnett show, and I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
this lady is funny.
Yeah.
Like
Those old shows were funny.
Yeah, they was
really
funny.
were.
Hee Haw was a funny show to me. And so then you start drifting to your dad's side, you finding records, and you like, hey man, what is this record? 'Cause the first comedy record I ever heard was Blacksmith, Richard Pryor.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going through my dad's albums, and I just see this black dude with a horse, and I'm like, let me put this on. What would he be singing? Because all the rest of them just
Music, right? Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa. I was like, this is hysterical to me. I didn't even know if it was the cursing or what he was just saying. It made sense. So then you get the Dick Gregory. You got Red Fox. You had Dolomite. And so you start listening to those guys, but when you coming up, you watching TV, your people who you looking at are the ones who on TV. So it's Fred Sanford. I thought George Jefferson was a comic. Then my dude, Rodney Dangerfield, because he was on everything. It's like, I'm growing up, this is who's in the movies, and I'm watching them on HBO when HBO was free with cable.
Right.
Remember those days?
Those days.
Yeah.
So you kind of a mixture. Then you get into Dick Gregory and you get into Franklin the Jai. And those are the people that you kind of idolize, and quite naturally Cosby and Eddie Murphy. And that's what I started looking at. So I'm kind of a mixture of all of them, of all the influences.
Yeah.
So even on stage, it's something I do on stage that most people, if they watch me and they are a fan of comedy and the artistry and the craft of it, they pick up on it. But most of the time, it's something that people never notice. I have a chair and a stool and the microphone stand and my water. Those are my things that I'm on stage with that I have to have, and the mic has to have a cord. I'm utilizing, because of Carol Burnett, obviously she did sets,
Yeah.
and she's going in and out of characters.
Right.
So I move the chair and the stool based upon what I'm talking about as the set, and the microphone stand, and the cord is, sometimes I need the cord as a barrier. So it's all these different things that I'm doing with these pieces that I'm moving them seamlessly. Like you don't even realize that I'm moving them until I do the motion. You're like, that wasn't even right. I know that wasn't right there. And then he leaned right in that lean, the microphone stand was the wall between me and something else that I'm talking about. So you just see me around the corner of it. And that's the other magic from the influence of Carol Burnett, the sets.
So it's like a transition to another thing. Like you can move something forward by sort of putting an end to it with a prop, if you will.
And it's difficult sometimes because the stages are different. Every stage you go to is different. So I do this thing where I'm sliding the chair as a basket, a shopping cart. And so sometimes I can't do it. I can't do the sliding motion because of the stage in the chair.
Yeah.
So you would see me put my hand on it, and I just walk and play with my shoulder.
right. I like that. I think that's funnier.
That's actually how I dance.
So it comes from me being able to roll it to me doing this. So
right.
And just to get the effect of what I'm trying to put in your mind, because I'm trying to be so detailed that you can see it. I want you to be able to, because I have a lot of albums. So during the albums, I want you to be in the moment when you're listening. I want you to be able to close your eyes and see everything, because I'm performing for so many different people that may or may not be in the room. So as the audience, you're sitting there, you're watching, and you are the only person in the room that's not doing anything. You're being served, people bring you drinks, you eating, you looking at the show. You have nothing to do but watch the show. I'm performing for the server that has to serve maybe 30, 40 people, know their orders, whatever. If I say something funny enough for the servers to laugh, oh, it's damn funny. Because they working, they in the middle of, I'm trying to keep up with all of this stuff I got to do, and they stop and like, wow, that's hysterical. You like, yeah. And so now it may be a person in the room that's hard of hearing. So I have to do the facial expressions and the visual and do it so they can see it. They can, even if you can't hear everything I said, you like, oh, that was funny, whatever he said. Now you have the blind person, which is crazy. A lot of blind people come to my show because they listen to the albums. So when I'm in the building and especially if I notice, if you're in the audience and I notice that there's a blind person there, you're going to get a better show, a more detailed show than the audience that did not have the blind person in it, that I noticed. Because now I notice that he's there. So I have to be that more detailed because I can see him and I need him to be able to see it. I need this blind person to lean over in laughter because they can visually see what I'm saying. And that's it. Comedy is so deep to me that it's not just about the jokes. It's about a lot of things. And I'm still trying to get better at doing all of those things. So I'm always different when people talk about who's great and you the GOAT and this, and I'm like, wow, that's the measuring stick is quite low. Because I'm like,
all the time.
If you ever seen all these great specials, they had a lot of elements to them, and they changed how people thought about comedy at that time.
Yeah.
Like they literally just shifted to like, this is it. What I've been watching was okay,
right.
but this is what it's supposed to be. I always wanted to create something that was undeniably that'd go down in history. Like when I was dating this young lady, and she watched Live on Sunset Strip with Pryor, and she's dying laughing. And she said, when did he do this? I said, probably 73.
I was going to say early 70s, yeah.
And she was like, it's no way. I'm like, yeah. Why do I understand it? Because it's what you call a masterpiece. That's why you understand it. If you're just now looking at this,
right,
and he did it in 1973. I was born in 1973.
Yeah.
That's when you look at people's work, like himself is a masterpiece. And even down to I watch this down to the details that people don't realize that the colors in the back of it are changing while he's talking. In what he's talking about is changing the mood with the colors of it. And you like, wow, that's very impressive when you looking at the details.
Right, and something that an average person doesn't even really catch, probably.
But I bet subconsciously, does it affect the viewer?
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. It's like when I walk, it doesn't matter what's happening in a room or how big the room is or how rowdy the room is. When I walk in and I sit down and I just wait, and I've been in a room where it was people were going berserk. And I walked in and just sat down, and the room slowly just, what's up? What are you doing? Now everybody's sitting there. I'm like, so I was talking about, it was 2008. I was talking about politics. I was on a Texas voters tour, and I was doing colleges, getting them to understand how important it is to vote in your local elections versus just the national. And I just sat down, and the first thing I said, what do y'all want in life, like in the future? Like, what do you want the future to be like? And then they just started thinking, and then I said, just take time, don't yell out anything, just tell me what you want. And this lady, her first thing was, I want free health care. I said, okay, let's discuss it. And this was my way of getting them to understand the issues that they may have. You have to vote people in office that had those same issues and interests. So that's the same with stand-up. When I come on, I'm not trying to bombard you with material. That's not my thing. It's like some people come on, they need to get you up. That's not. This is going to. I'm gonna be up here for an hour.
Right. It's a marathon.
This is
not a sprint.
This is it's like the person that you see run out fast. Let's go 20 minutes in.
Right.
At minute 21,
right.
starting to get different.
Right.
Starting to get different. Now, minute 40, it's been different for a long time now. You're like, what we doing? And then they start to pick up at the end. But I'm on a straight incline. Incline. I'm not leveling out until I'm getting ready to go. It's all where we going to be. And the story just increased. And I'm just trying to wrap you in to a lot of logic to things.
Right. Right. I mean, it's, and you don't have to, you're telling the story of your life in the latest special, but you don't have to have lived that life to totally understand everything. And the way you talk about yourself and your sister and the way you do those characters, everybody goes, yep, I know that's exactly, everybody knows that. Everybody knows those people. Yeah. And it's really funny, but it's so just true. And then the expressions and things that you put into it, it's fantastic. And that's why I said at the beginning, I love that the vibe is just so calm. And it's just, here it is. Here's the story. And
it's another thing for our audience to allow a comic to be who they are. Because audiences come to comedy shows with expectations of you being somebody that they already like. Who goes to see Twisted Sisters hoping that they kiss? like, this is not like Kiss. Right. Like, they're not Kiss.
Well, they both wear makeup.
That's the thing. Like, we both on stage, and that is it. That's the whole commonality. That's it. I'm not like other people. Like tonight, when people come to the show tonight, Marcus is not me, and that's the beauty of doing stand-up. It's like I like so many different people in comedy. Like I really enjoy him. He's a Christian. They call him a Christian comic. He get mad about that.
He's not swinging for you.
You can look at right behind you right here.
He's more clean, and he's not preachy, so he makes sense to me. Just like Dan Sober, son of Gary. I was like, I'm enthralled not only because I know him, but I'm looking at something like, yo, man, I called him like, man, this was fantastic. Then Ari Jewish is getting ready to come out. I've already seen him perform. I'm like, he's insane.
Yeah.
But then I like Earthquake.
Yeah.
I like Cat. I like Mike. I like these people, and then because they're the people who I always liked and always watched. Even though I'm mad at Cat, I still like his stuff. But you know, I was I'm waiting on Martin to do another special. I like it when the old guys say they coming back out.
Mm-hmm.
I would love a new Sinbad special. Me personally, but I would also love a Jerry Seinfeld. I was enthralled when Chris Rock did Tambourine. Like I watched Tambourine 1,000 times. Like, yo, this is me and Marcus had talking about it. Like, yo, man, this is this. I knew Dave was gonna be good. I knew it was gonna be Dave. Tambourine was masterful to me, but
they're very different too. Dave and Chris.
Yeah, they different. So as a comic that's not based in LA, that's not based in New York, I just wanted to put out something that represent other comics from other places, that you don't have to be in these spaces where you have to, this is your, I think that creates a lot of depression in a lot of people, man, that they don't get this shot with the ones who they want to get the shot with, and then they don't do anything else on their own, and then they just feel like they failed all the time. Because in comedy, you hear a lot of no's. You get a lot of, your skin has to be so thick and tough because you get a lot of no's. Man, I've gotten, so I can't even think of the no's. So it's been so many, like, no. Like, hard work that you slid in front of people and you think that this is a masterpiece, and they looking through, they thumbing through it. they literally licking their thumb like, and anytime you get the look up and down, okay, can you tell me about it? Okay, you like, something. Don't even worry about it. Give me my wet, dampened back.
Moist. Well, yeah, I mean, especially for what you're doing, because it's so, maybe more than others, it's so personal, and it's you. You're telling your life in so many of these cases. So when somebody's just going through it real quick, like, yeah, and that's insulting, and your heart is out there, and they could just squeeze it.
But also, people want you to boil it down to like a 30-second, what do they call it, an elevator pitch. Like, just give me the 30-second version. Like, this is an hour-long special.
Yeah.
Like, why would I try and boil this down?
Yeah.
I am, it's things that you don't think about that people call you with and that let you know. Because I'm just putting out the work. And my thing is, I don't ever want to put out bad work. So I did a special earlier with Epics on unprotected sex. So that was an hour that came out earlier this year. And so this project was mine. So when I knew this one was coming out, and Marcus had already seen it because he was there, and when it comes on, you hear Houston, get ready. Like, it sounds real old school. That's Marcus.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah. So when people call you and say, hey, listen, I'm gonna just say this, I'm gonna be honest about this. This is probably the best thing I've seen, the best special. Like, I'm taken aback. Like, what did you do this at? I'm like, Houston. Oh yeah, you put a lot of effort into this. Like, but in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm accepting the compliment openly, but in my mind, I'm thinking, like, what did you think?
Right.
I was going to do? Like, I was just gonna put out some, anything, and it's and for the people to tell me that they didn't think that I was, I mean, it's like man, do you not understand how big it is that people are sitting down watching for an hour and 21 minutes? I couldn't believe I did it. He said, cause my life, I'm everything is this. But I sat down and I watched, and I actually this wasn't 24 seconds. It's like I sat down and I watched and I paused it, went to the restroom. I came back and I started it right back up. And I'm like, yo, then you had an alternate ending. I was like, yo, what's going on? Like, this is a movie.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. That's why I said I don't even really want to say too much about it because I feel like it's like a movie spoiler if I tell anybody what happened. Because it does. It all goes together. But it strikes me as one of those things where, like, if you wrote it down and just handed it to somebody, it's a whole different, it's all about, and maybe this is a dumb thing because it's obvious, but the way you do it. Like, it's one of those things where you're talking about the elevator speech where somebody's like, tell me about it in 20 seconds. You're like, no. Like, if you write it down and it's like, okay. But when you see you do it, it's amazing. It's a whole different thing. And that's what's, obviously that's what's so great about bringing something to life as a comic.
That's what the thing is in Hollywood. It's always, I've never been able to explain to them. You sit down, they sit you down with a writer, and the writer, y'all talking, but like, man, I can't really, like me and Marcus, we run together. So we work out in the morning, so we on a track, and we get doing our warm-up, we walking a mile first, and we talking about things that we can see, because it's not like I'm just not telling him, I'm stop. You know how you talk to somebody, I stop him and listen, and then you do that.
Right.
I'm explaining it out. So that's how I pitch. I just do it. I give you what I'm doing. It's on paper. It doesn't look. It's like, because on paper, I'm not who I am. On paper,
Right.
if you look at it, it's like nobody on paper looks at me and be like, oh, that's the comic that I'm gonna go pick on paper. But when you come or you hear something, you're like, oh, I'm interested. Let me hear. So that's how I don't get a chance to win awards, because when they vote, they just vote for the name that's familiar. Let's just vote for him. That's easy. So you don't get comic of the year, special of the year, or like this one should get an Emmy, but what they gonna say is, well, it's not on a network. I thought YouTube was a network. I thought it was YouTube TV. That's what I thought. That's just me. I don't know. They have original programming.
Yeah.
Like what's the criteria of not a network?
And more
Great
and more
question.
every day, right? More and more every day.
Like what's the criteria?
I mean, if you're
So-
under a certain age, that's where you get everything is on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's there.
they
You're gonna win that award, damn it! It's happening.
Well, now that he's been on our show. No.
Well, I mean, this will bring you down a little bit, but
it
you'll rise back up.
You're better than this. That's all. You're better than this.
Look, and that's when you know somebody is on the top of the game. They're on the top of the food chain. No, you don't want to be this. This is horrible.
Look, we were talking about a fart candle before we went live.
And
And we're
because
gonna
I'm
go
so
over that.
intrigued. Because I just want to know the level of odor
Yeah,
that they can put inside of a jar
we're gonna find out in a
that,
second. We're
that
gonna
y'all
find
will
out.
not open it. Like both y'all said the same thing. Not in here. Not in here.
It's saying a lot too, because they stink on their own. You know? Badly.
like that.
Like if it's bad for you guys because you hotbox yourselves in that with gas every day, and so if the candle's that bad.
Look, let's not share family secrets.
Okay, sorry.
Is it bad?
I haven't smelled the candle yet because of that. So I'll go outside with you guys.
Yeah,
But I'm
well,
scared of it because I know how stinky they are.
So we gonna do it together.
I'll be here for moral support.
Because I want to do it, but it's just something in my gut to say I'm gonna throw up. Because it's like, because they too willing to do it outside where it's open space, but inside they're like, no, not in here.
We have to though, because you'll think about it.
Yeah.
You'll wonder.
Yeah. How could you live not knowing? You won't be able to go on stage tonight. You'll be like, I have to know.
It's possible.
I have to know.
I've stayed away this long.
All right. Well, let's do that. So go see this man tonight. If you're in Charlotte, tonight, tomorrow night, couple of shows, both nights at the Comedy Zone, cltcomedyzone.com to get your tickets, and go to Ali Siddiq and get all the tour dates. And you're doing other stuff too. I don't want to, spend too much time, but you're doing other things besides comedy too, right?
Yes.
You're getting out there and I guess that's what you were alluding to about the getting people out to vote thing.
Yes.
But that's a passion, right?
Trying to do my due diligence and doing my community service. Really want people to get into growing food so we can get rid of this food shortage that people don't seem to know that's happening. You can't find zucchini.
Is that right?
Yeah, you go in the store, zucchini. I don't think people watch the news. So it was the avocado thing that was going on with people, and they're like, "Why is guacamole $8 now?" Because the avocado shortage. Why don't you plant a tree instead of putting a new driveway? Over something. Oh, we need a new parking garage. Well, we won't have a space. Okay, just break this down. If people are not able to get food, which is nourishment, which how the body kind of continues to exist, then the parking garage in the facility where people go get entertained probably will be obsolete. Kind of like the mall is not the same without old people walking around it.
Amen.
When I don't see old people walking around the mall, I'm like, yo, this mall sucks. I need to see old people, just one old lady walking fast in a circle. You're like, that's how you know you've been here too long. You're like, where? She hasn't passed us again. She's gone.
Old people are the fertilizer of the mall. They make it healthy.
Apparently.
I think everybody should adopt an elderly person. Like, just find you any elderly person. Now, it's going to be a tussle to try to help them because they so stuck in their ways. But
Chelsea and I have been working on Wilcox for years.
How dare you?
He's our project.
Right.
He's our old man.
He's our starter old person.
It ain't working, I'll tell you that.
That's right. That's because he's stubborn
All right.
AF.
So hang on. So in conclusion, get an old person and an avocado.
Grow a garden.
Definitely.
I definitely am in on one of those.
Community gardens, man. Beautifying your community. I think that's a big thing that a lot of these nonprofit organizations can get into, just helping people with how their yard looks, in just increasing the value and the beauty of their homes. Gives people this warmer feeling. This is how you start to do community things, and these civil rights people that's your job, to be into civil rights. At some point, you have to start doing your job, because a civil rights person is to massage the community into being civil. How you supposed to weed out this hate that people have in their heart about things. So it's not just the guns that people it's guns, it's bombs, it's arsonists, it's all type of people who, it was a person that was just walking around poking people with a syringe.
Right.
That people didn't have. It's a lot of things that we have to start doing a better job at, that I only see happening in sports and fishing. Like, I've never had a racist or bias or prejudice situation where I was fishing. And I've seen all the people, all the usual suspects in one spot. Nobody's catching fish. Everybody's breaking down, looking at each other, concerned. Hey, what you got going on there? Yeah. First you came in and you frowned up at me. Now somebody has a fish on the line, and now you have a KKK member, a Black Panther, a right winger, a left winger. Oh, hey, he got something.
What's he using? What's he using?
What? Everybody's together, because now you have a common goal. It just seems like when everybody's in the same boat, which we are, it's better. I think people got to understand you in the same boat. No matter what situation that you're in, you're in the same boat. You've never seen a plane crash and somebody survived because they was in first class. Hey, the plane crashed.
Right.
Why didn't you die? Come on now. I was in first class. Why would you die in first class? That doesn't happen. Like when the plane go down, everybody is down together.
Right.
So I think that we have to have a little more compassion, or start teaching compassion and living compassion. Not just telling somebody about it, but being compassionate. Now, sometimes that's what we have to think about. And that's what I'm on sometimes. Now, all the time, no. But sometimes, yes.
I love that. I agree with you.
Oh, you put up a fishing video?
Yeah, you got to see this fishing video. I'm going to show him a fishing video. The guy's got a YouTube channel, and he's got his guy filming him here. And as he's describing what fly he is going to tie onto his line, a fish just decides to skip that step. And so he's talking about, okay, here's where we're fishing. Oh, I got a little bite. And he's just still tying his line, just jumps right into the boat.
Wow.
And he's like, there's one in the boat. Like, you see him. He doesn't know what to do.
And then he got out the boat.
Yeah, he gets a net, and he's trying to stop it from jumping out of the boat. It's up on their Facebook page as well. It's right underneath this video. So, yeah, it's fantastic.
See, Dre is a terrible fisherman.
Best day fishing ever. As you're just sitting there, you get a bite on one rod, and then the fish just jumps into your boat right there.
Oh, right, when he did that, I would have definitely grabbed my net first. I'm like, yeah, that's one down. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
his first reaction is, I don't know what to do. Dude, you're a fisherman. You got a net right there. One on the rod, one in the boat.
Did he get the one on the rod?
He did. He got the one on the rod, the one in the boat. See, it flops right in right there. He goes, finally grabs a net, and it jumps right back out. It's like, I'm out.
Oh, man, I'd have been sick.
I would not have posted that on YouTube, that's for sure.
Do you fish?
Do I?
Yes.
Not since I was a kid. I love it. I grew up in Georgia, so I love the rivers and just getting into all that. I thought he was going to show you a video of a fish that jumped in a man's mouth this week and choked him.
That was
Right.
a
I had the
thing.
same reaction. Exactly. I'm not over it.
I think I saw a video, I think it was on Ridiculousness, where this little boy was digging in his shorts, and he pulled out a little fish out of his shorts. He was just swimming, and his fish swam in his shorts. Little kid, he was like 4, and he pulled out that fish. He's like he's a nasty little boy.
Are we sure it was a fish?
Did he bring it from home? Mine would do.
Ugh.
All right, man. Thank you so much for
Thank
hanging.
y'all, man.
Thanks for what you do. And damn it, you're going to win an award. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
Whether you want to or not.
yeah, we going to the mall
You can watch
to
some old.
to fertilize. we going to be the old people.
You ain't old enough yet.
Yeah, man,
Ali
man.
Siddiq said he's going to fertilize old people.
You know how things go bad fast. He's going to fertilize people in the mall. What is he doing? He's disgusted. I knew something was wrong with that guy. Thank y'all so much.
Thanks, man.